So, the Green Party has announced a big addition to their membership. Jamie Driscoll has joined the party after previously being involved in your party. The former Labour Metro Mayor was expelled from the party for sharing a platform with film director Ken Loach. Of course, Ken Loach is absolutely brilliant. Ken Loach wrote I, Daniel Blake. Absolutely fantastic film. Ken Loach was expelled from the party after showing support for Labour Against the Witch Hunt, a group in which seeks to end the weaponisation of anti-Semitism. I think the case for that has only gotten stronger over time. The case that Labour Against the Witch Hunt were making has only gotten stronger over time with everything that's going on right now between Israel and Palestine, and indeed Palestine Action, which we'll talk about later. But Jamie was expelled for sharing a panel with the veteran director. He then ran as an independent for the North East mayoralty race against the Labour machine, and he managed to win 126,000 votes to Labour's Kin McGuinness, who won 185,000. From 2024, Driscoll has been running a local independent campaign group called Majority. He was then involved with your party, along with Beth Winter and Andrew Feinstein. The three were directors, if you remember, of MOU Limited, the company in charge of your party donations. After the public fights, Driscoll decided to step away. This comes after 5 Labour councillors in Brent defected to the Greens. Now, earlier today, my colleague Curtis caught up with Jamie Driscoll. So let's have a look at that.
I'll start off with the obvious. Why have you joined the Green Party?
Well, I think all of your viewers will be of the opinion that Britain's a serious mess. It's run in the interests of billionaires, and somebody needs to fix that. And I've been in politics a long time, and I'd rather not be in politics. I'd rather do other things in my life. But I've got kids, and I'll look at the way the future's unfolding, and I think I'm not prepared to leave this. The Green Party have been on a surge. I think there's more. Everyone I talk to in the Green Party is a socialist. I think there's more socialists in the Green Party than the Labour Party, certainly. And I think you've just got to step up and do something. They've convinced me they're serious. I mean, Zach has certainly played a blinder in terms of the media, but there's an awful lot of people in there who recognise that it's one thing for people who are already convinced of the need for progressive politics. It's quite another to get into power and do something about it. And the left's always made this mistake, not always, but many, of being too coy, or the soft left of not actually saying, yeah, we do need a wealth tax. No, that is a genocide. No, poverty is a political choice and we can change it. And at every point, he said, no, let's stand and fight on this point. And that's what I see with the local Greens here. So it's about getting stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, in one of your quotes, you said this is a serious party now. And I think for a long time, the Greens were seen as on the fringe, not a political party that's going to be anywhere near power. And now, look, you're seeing 17, 18% in the polls. Recent YouGov poll has the Greens tied with the Conservatives, 1% behind Labour. So actually, this seems like a serious, viable vehicle for the left, not just a pressure group.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Let's suppose you and I, Curtis, had spoke on the 5th of July last year when Keir Starmer was outside there saying, Downing Street, saying, oh, we've got 174 seat majority. Then, and if you'd said to me, yeah, but in 16, 17 months' time, they'll be 4th in the polls, Reform will be 15 points clear. People would have thought, what's he on? But that's happened so quickly. And politics is febrile in this country. It's a mess because it's not delivering for the people of this country. And they keep rehashing the same, whipping a dead horse to try and claim that trickle down is going to solve anything. And it's just pissing everybody off. And so it is going to shift. And if the Green Party is the vehicle to do it, that is fantastic news.
So, of course, the decision is going to be down to members. But would you personally put yourself forward in the selection process to be an MP? And if so, where would it be?
Yeah. Do I want to be grand leader who takes over the universe? That is not my motivation. But yes, I think if we look ahead, it's you were talking earlier about sort of perhaps the ambition of the Green Party, and they were delighted when they had an MP, and then over the moon when they got 4. And I think the thinking has not got to be, will that go to 9 at the next election, 16 at the next election after that? No, I think it should be going for 100 MPs at the next election. Who knows what's going to happen in 2029? But hung parliament seems extremely likely. And that means another election very soon after. So I think if I'm able to be useful there, because I've ran an arm of government and everybody's, even my opponents said actually he was quite good at it, then I think, yeah, I'll be up for that if they want me to do it.
Just after the election, it was a good showing for the Greens. I mean, they quadrupled their seats. And I think for most people on the left, it was going to be, the Greens are going to be the thorn in the side of a Labour government. I think we've changed our expectations. I think you're absolutely right. 20 seats is not enough for the Greens. It needs to be more. But of course, that would mean some sort of pact, maybe coalition with the Labour Party. Now, Zach Plansky, the leader, has said, I'm not going to work with Labour under Keir Starmer. A spokesperson said potentially if there's a different leader. Do you think the Greens need to work with Labour in some kind of capacity? And would there need to be certain red lines they would have to meet in order to do so? Because, of course, at the end of the day, the Greens have surged, but so has Reform.
Yeah. I don't think Zach Polanski is going to get an opportunity to work with Keir Starmer because Keir will be long gone by then. The vultures are circling. And I don't think any of the vultures will last any longer than he has because they have no answers. The chances of Andy Burnham getting there are very slim. I know Andy well. We worked well together closely, and actually he's a very decent guy. But even if he were their leader, the Labour Party is still a nest of vipers, and it's still going to be pursuing neoliberal policies, and it won't deliver anything. So, I mean, we might end up to, 30, 40 Labour MPs after the next election. I've really no idea. So you've got to sort of cross that bridge when you come to it. Now, working with people, you always work with people. That's what I did when I was North of Tyne mayor for 5 years, negotiated the best funded devolution deal in this country by working with people like Grant Shapps and Michael Gove, who are not of my politics, but when it comes to getting stuff done, you've got to get stuff done. So would it be a confidence and supply arrangement? I don't know. But I guarantee that what would be on the table would be voting reform because our electoral system is, it's just bonkers, isn't it?
So how was your relationship with those involved in your party? I mean, despite leaving, and let's be honest, it's kind of been full of drama. Do you see a working relationship with them? And do you think that your party is a viable vehicle of the left?
I think my relationship with the people in your party is probably better than the relationships between each other in your party, quite possibly. I've had some really nice messages today from a lot of the people I worked with. There are some good people in there, and I really do wish them luck. I was asked a question by a journalist earlier. He says, you've gone from the Labour Party to independent. You were involved in your party, now the Greens. He says, I haven't changed. The manifesto I was elected on in 2019 as a Labour mayor, which I mostly delivered, the Greens were very, very happy with it. The election manifesto I had in 2024, your party members loved it. Green Party members loved it. Most of the Labour Party members loved it, although they keep getting kicked out now. So the politics doesn't change. And I've never been one who's seen tribalism. I remember in the Labour Party, sitting in a meeting and someone saying, I love the Labour Party, me. And I'm thinking, that's a weirdly dysfunctional set of human relationships you have then, because I love my wife and my children.
True. So that is, it's I suppose it's when it comes to it, but you do imagine potentially the Greens working with Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultan. I know they're not elected leader. There's a collective leadership, but there is, a strong, when it comes to grassroots, there is a strong want for different parties to work together. You mentioned how we're living under first past the post. We don't have PR. So inevitably there's going to have to be some sort of tax and stuff. Could you envision certain candidates from the Green Party standing down in constituencies and maybe your party have a better shot of winning a particular seat?
My sense is that this works better when you let the people on the ground make the decisions. So with majority that you mentioned earlier, when the South Jesmond in Newcastle by-election came up, we had a discussion amongst ourselves. There was a vote on it. Should we stand somebody as an independent? Does someone want to run under a majority banner? Should we back the Greens? The decision was, well, let's invite the Green candidate to talk to us. Everybody interviewed her. She did a cracking job answering the questions. She was on there for about 45 minutes. And then it was unanimous. Yeah, let's just roll in behind the Greens. And that campaign won by a margin of 55 votes. Now, they led it, and it was a very energetic campaign they did. But I think that's a far better result than people saying, no, we must build for the long term and standing and getting nowhere and demoralizing their own members. So where the politics aligns, I think people should work together. But I think that largely comes around by building trust. And there's no substitute to actually working together on joint campaigns. And so much of politics is actually about campaigns that aren't electoral. You know, we've got an Israeli arms factory in Newcastle, Raphael, state-owned. That's, you know, I can't conceive of any world in which the Labour Party should be supporting manufacturing arms for a regime on trial for genocide. You know, and that's uniting huge amounts of the grassroots progressives, not just the left. And you've got the Labour Party going, oh, no, we can't really say anything because it's Israel. So that sort of thing brings people together.
That was former Metro Mayor Jamie Driscoll. I 100% agree with him. Labour, the Greens, rather, should be going for 100 seats. People should be abandoning Labour in their droves. I tweeted something earlier from the Turn Left account about the hunger strikers, which we will be talking about later on. And somebody who was called like Labour to Win tweeted at me saying that they should all be deported. And I'm like, mate, this is the kind of views like the BNP had back in 2005. Like, what happened to the Labour Party? The Labour Party is like full of like legit like right-wing freaks now. I can't. It blows my mind. Like taking the literal position of reform with the popularity of fucking UKIP right now. Unbelievable. Yes, but that was that was Jamie Driscoll, who always puts it far more eloquently than I could. But what I'm interested in is how significant is this going to be for the political landscape? Because on the one hand, there's the Your Party stuff, so maybe we should start with that. Harriet, how significant do you think this will be for the relationship between Your Party and the Greens? The fact that Jamie Driscoll has, of course, defected.
Ben, I think that this is a big get for the Greens, and I think that we need to recognise that. Jamie Driscoll is a serious political player. He was a popular and pragmatic mayor. He led the North East devolution deal, as he mentioned in his interview with you guys earlier. He signed the agreement with Gove, something that speaks to pragmatism. He took power back for the people of the North East, who had kind of been forgotten when there is so much focus on London-centric and Westminster politics. And then after being a great mayor for East of Tyne, he was scorned by Labour, blocked from being standing as their candidate for mayor of the North East for factional and frankly ridiculous reasons, and then came quite close to just winning it as an independent. I think he did incredibly well there. And the other reason that I think that Jamie Driscoll is a serious person in politics and somebody that I'm really glad that the Greens have got now is because he's actually a normal person, and he's done a host of different jobs in both the private and the public sector before going into politics in his 40s. And he has real life experience in jobs outside of this sort of elite sphere that most people who are MPs, if they're not career politicians, tend to have worked in. And I think that hopefully this means that more seasoned left-wing political players will see the Greens as the electoral vehicle of choice to challenge this increasingly authoritarian and morally bankrupt Labour government, and of course the rising threat of reform, who are polling well into the 30s in a number of polls.
There's been in this country for a while a sort of like cohort of thinkers who think very local. And I'm thinking of people who particularly push the Preston model, right, of local democracy. The Preston model, basic idea for those who don't know, is you keep money local by investing in anchor institutions locally. So you keep money circulating locally by doing things like, the investments in anchor institutions, but also using like credit unions, cooperatives, and investing pension funds in local infrastructure projects is another way that they've done it. And for a while, it didn't really have a home. And I'm wondering now that both Grace Blakely, who is an economist who's pushed for this, and Jamie Driscoll have joined this push. Do you think that? I mean, first of all, do you think that democratic localism might be the future and the big sort of like economic push in the next few years, because I could see it being the case, particularly with figures like Mamdani so focused on New York, Jamie Driscoll so focused on his mayoralty, or the running for his mayoralty, I suppose. And I'm curious whether that is the future of progressivism, but more so if that might be where the Greens are going now that they've sort of like taken a step with Zach Polanski. Do you think maybe they're going to take a step towards the democratic localism?
Well, if you look at Mamdani's success, we can see that having people who are so focused on and in tune with the identity of their local areas and communities creates not just a sense of place, but a sense of real rootedness, and brings people along, people of like lots of different identities, lots of different ethnic and class backgrounds, of all genders and religions. They feel like they belong in this specific place, and that the person who is going to represent them is actually there to be invested in their interests. And I think the reason why this is so important is because outside of London and the South, the rest of the country so often gets forgotten. Now, I feel kind of a little bit jealous of people of the Northeast, people in Newcastle, etc., because they got to have such a committed mayor in Jamie Driscoll. I'm from Lincoln in Lincolnshire, and what we've got is Andrea Jenkins for reform. It's not a great comparison.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough. I didn't actually know that. I didn't actually know that you were under the watchful eye of Andrea Jenkins and her opera. That's unfortunate.
I was going to mention Insomnia, but I just didn't have the heart.
Jesus Christ, it's awful. It's awful. But we don't like Andrea Jenkins, but some Andreas are bad, some Andreas are good. But Labour today suffered a blow due to another Andrea Egan, who won the election to become Unison's General Secretary. Now, that doesn't seem related necessarily to Jamie Driscoll, but here's the connection in my mind. Andrea Egan is, of course, a socialist who was expelled from Starmer's Labour Party. Jamie Driscoll as well. And as Aaron Bastani said earlier today, Starmer just seems to have made too many enemies. Do you think Driscoll parking his cannons behind Zach Polanski is a blow to an already battered Keir Starmer, who's probably thinking, oh God, the largest union in the country is now under the control of somebody that I expelled from the Labour Party. We're in a funding crisis. Am I right in thinking that they've stopped publishing their funding data, the Labour Party? I think they have, haven't they?
They've certainly stopped publishing their membership data.
Yes, yeah, that too. But yes, do you think that what do you think Keir Starmer might be thinking, if he's thinking anything about Jamie Driscoll's move into the Greens?
Well, if he's thinking anything at all, it almost doesn't really matter. Like whether he thinks it's important or not, it is. He has made a lot of enemies, but this is what happens when a right-wing Labour leadership and internal parliamentary Labour Party treats the left with such contempt. So a Labour spokesperson today called Jamie Driscoll a political liability, and that's because he's been involved in a number of other projects since quitting Labour, right? And my response to that is so fucking what? So what? We're in a radical new space for politics. The two-party system is cooked. Why wouldn't you try and get involved in other things? In terms of like you're going from having a founding role in, even if not one of the two main co-leaders, in terms of your party and the Greens, it has been really disheartening to see how infighting and chaos around the founding process has lost not just Driscoll, but Andrew Feinstein and Beth Winter. Your party shouldn't have let that happen, but they have done. And the fact that Jamie Driscoll has now gone to the Greens, it shows that people are being pragmatic in this space. They are picking the most reliable electoral vehicle for making change within this country. And at the moment, due to Polanski, due to Rachel and Martin, that is looking very much like the Greens. So yeah, whatever Starmer thinks about it kind of won't matter. I don't really like to make political predictions too strongly, but I feel like Labour are going to be wiped out in the May locals, and then Starmer will have to step down. He's cooked, whatever. So
was that a Labour MP you said? You said that who said that Driscoll was a political liability. Was that a Labour MP?
A Labour Party spokesperson. That's been their
Spokesperson.
comment. Yeah.
Sorry, I just think my instant reaction to that was the entire leadership of your party is a political liability. What are you talking about? Sorry, just
I find it quite interesting that this is the only language they had to use to discredit him. They didn't say thank you so much for all your time being a great mayor of the Northeast, of the region that he was a mayor for and was popular and successful in doing that. They didn't say we actually lost somebody really competent when we blocked him from running as a mayor for the wider devolved region. No, they insulted him, said he's a political liability, and said it's because he tried to get involved in other things that weren't Labour. It's like, well, you didn't want him in Labour. You pushed somebody out who was actually really good, and then you go bad mouthing them later on when they decide to join a new party. Like, these people are not pleasant, and it's a poor and short sighted way to do politics, I think.